Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're completing our workshop trilogy with a focus on the societal implications of supershifts, how these massive transformations are reshaping communities, governance, culture, and collective futures. In our previous workshops, we applied the spectrum foresight method to explore personal and organizational implications. Today, we're expanding our lens to examine how these same forces are transforming the broader social fabric and how we can effectively engage with these collective changes. This workshop is particularly important because no person or organization exists in isolation. We're all embedded in communities, societies, and cultures that both shape and are shaped by these transformative shifts. Understanding and engaging with these broader changes is essential for navigating your own future successfully. As with our previous workshops, this session is designed to be interactive. I recommend setting aside about 90 to 120 minutes, finding a quiet space where you can focus and having materials to capture your insights. If possible, consider involving others in this process, colleagues, community members, or friends with diverse perspectives. By the end of this workshop, you'll have 1. Use spectrum signals to identify how supershifts are already reshaping societal systems. 2. Applied spectrum layer analysis to understand multidimensional societal impacts. 3. Created spectrum scenarios to explore emergent societal futures. 4th. Developed strategies for engaging with collective transformation effectively. Let's begin this exploration of how we can collectively navigate and shape our shared future. Part 1. Mapping supershift impacts on societal systems. Let's start by using the spectrum signals approach to identify concrete, observable indicators of how supershifts are already transforming major societal systems. Exercise 1. Societal spectrum signals scanning. For this exercise, create a matrix with the 9 supershifts across the top and these major societal systems down the left side. Governance and democracy, political systems, decision-making, and power distribution, education and knowledge, how learning, expertise, and information are created and shared. Economics and livelihoods, how value is created, work is organized, and resources allocated. Health and well-being, physical, mental, and social health systems and practices. Community and connection, how people build relationships and social cohesion. Environment and resources, natural systems, sustainability, and human-nature relationships. Identity and culture, how people understand themselves, their roles, and shared meaning. For each intersection, identify 1 to 2 observable signals that demonstrate how that supershift is already changing that societal system. Remember, effective spectrum signals are concrete and observable, not predictions. From reliable sources or direct observation, early indicators of potential larger changes, specific rather than general. For example, at the intersection of intellifusion and education and knowledge, a signal might be 3 major universities have already integrated AI tools into their core curriculum and adjusted their graduation requirements to emphasize human-AI collaboration skills. Take about 30 minutes for this signal scanning exercise. The goal is to develop an evidence-based understanding of how these supershifts are already reshaping societal systems. Exercise 2. Identifying critical societal transformations. Based on your signals matrix, identify 3 to 5 societal transformations that you believe are particularly significant. These should be profound shifts that are supported by multiple observable signals, will fundamentally alter how society functions, have multiple downstream effects on other systems, create both significant opportunities and challenges. For each critical transformation, write a brief paragraph describing what is changing specifically, be as concrete as possible. What evidence, signals, demonstrates this transformation is underway? What might be gained and lost through this transformation? Who might benefit and who might face challenges? Take about 15 minutes for this reflection. The goal is to identify the most consequential societal transformations emerging from these supershifts. Part 2. Applying spectrum layer analysis to societal transformations. Now, let's use spectrum layer analysis, SLA, to develop a deeper understanding of these societal transformations across multiple dimensions. Exercise 3. Societal spectrum layer analysis. For each of your critical societal transformations, analyze impacts across these layers. Layer 1, surface changes, observable manifestations. What visible changes in behavior, practice, or discourse are emerging? What new organizations, initiatives, or movements are forming? What current institutions or practices are being questioned or abandoned? Layer 2, structural changes, systems and institutions. How are formal and informal structures being reshaped? What power dynamics are shifting? What new forms of organization or governance are emerging? Layer 3. Cultural changes, values and norms. How are social norms and expectations evolving? What values are being emphasized or de-emphasized? What new cultural narratives are forming? Layer 4. Identity changes, self and community. How are individual and group identities being redefined? What new bases for community or belonging are emerging? How are relationships between self, others, and society shifting? Layer 5. Paradigmatic changes, worldviews, and meaning. What fundamental assumptions about how the world works are being challenged? What new ways of making meaning or finding purpose are developing? What core metaphors or frameworks are shifting? Take about 20 minutes for this layered analysis. The goal is to understand not just surface-level changes, but deeper transformations in how society functions and how people find meaning and connection. Part 3. Creating spectrum scenarios for societal futures. Now, let's use the spectrum scenarios approach to explore how these societal transformations might unfold and interact over time. Exercise 4. Societal spectrum scenarios. For this exercise, create a visual map showing connections between your critical societal transformations. Start with your 3 to 5 transformations from Exercise 2, and draw each transformation as a node on a large sheet of paper or digital canvas. Draw arrows between transformations that influence each other, indicating direction of influence. Label each arrow with a brief description of how one transformation affects another. Identify any feedback loops, circular patterns of influence. Note where multiple transformations converge to create amplified effects. Take about 15 minutes for this systems mapping exercise. The goal is to understand how these transformations interact as a complex system rather than isolated changes. Now, based on your systems map, develop 3 distinct societal scenarios for the next 5 to 10 years. Scenario 1. Mainstream adaptation. In this scenario, society adapts to these transformations gradually, with existing institutions evolving rather than collapsing. Traditional sources of authority maintain significant influence while incorporating new approaches. Scenario 2. Disruptive reorganization. In this scenario, these transformations accelerate and amplify each other, leading to significant disruption of existing structures and the rapid emergence of new forms of organization, governance, and belonging. Scenario 3. Divergent pathways. In this scenario, adaptation occurs unevenly across different communities, regions, and demographic groups, creating a fragmented landscape with multiple approaches to these challenges coexisting and sometimes conflicting. For each scenario, write a brief narrative, 200 to 300 words, that brings this future to life. Include concrete details about how people live, work, and relate to each other, how decisions are made and conflicts resolved, what institutions are dominant or declining, what new social contracts or arrangements emerge, what challenges and opportunities people face. Take about 25 minutes for this scenario development. The goal is to create rich, multi-dimensional pictures of possible societal futures that acknowledge complexity and emergence. Part 4. Assessing societal readiness and adaptive capacity. Now let's assess how prepared our societies are to navigate these transformations successfully and what capacities need to be developed for positive adaptation. Exercise 5. Societal Readiness Assessment. For this exercise, identify 7 to 10 critical capacities that societies need to navigate SuperShift successfully. These might include democratic governance that can handle complex technical issues, education systems that foster lifelong adaptation and critical thinking, economic systems that distribute opportunity amid automation, social safety nets that support people through transitions, cross-cultural collaboration capabilities in a fragmented world, ethical frameworks for emerging technologies, environmental regeneration practices. For each capacity, assess current strength in your society, 1 to 5 scale, where 1 equals very weak, 5 equals very strong. Development trajectory, improving, stable, or declining. Key barriers to strengthening this capacity. Promising initiatives or approaches already emerging. Take about 20 minutes for this assessment. Be thoughtful about what societal capacities truly matter for successful adaptation, not just technological or economic factors. Exercise 6. Gap analysis and priority setting. Based on your readiness assessment, identify the 3 to 4 most critical capacity gaps that need to be addressed for your society to navigate SuperShift successfully. For each priority gap, explore why this capacity is essential for positive adaptation, what the consequences might be if this gap isn't addressed, which stakeholders and institutions need to be involved in building this capacity, What existing resources or strengths could be leveraged? What inspirational examples from other contexts might offer insights? Take about 15 minutes for this analysis. The goal is to identify where collective energy and resources should be focused to build societal adaptive capacity. Part 4. Developing your social engagement strategy. Now comes the most important part, developing your personal strategy for engaging with these societal transformations. This isn't about solving all social challenges single-handedly, but rather defining your unique contribution to positive collective adaptation. Exercise 7. Clarifying your social role and contribution. Reflect on how you personally connect to these broader societal transformations. Consider, which of these shifts do you care most deeply about? What unique skills, resources, perspectives, or positions do you bring? Where do your personal and professional interests align with societal needs? What scale of engagement makes sense for you? Local, national, global? Write a brief statement, 100 to 200 words, articulating how you see your role in relation to these societal transformations. What specific contribution you want to make to positive adaptation? Why this focus matters to you personally. How this connects to your existing life, work, and relationships. Take about 10 minutes for this reflection. The goal is to develop clarity about your unique role in shaping collective futures. Exercise 8. Social engagement strategy based on spectrum foresight. Now translate your reflections into a practical engagement strategy that leverages the spectrum foresight method. Spectrum signals, knowledge and understanding. How will you continuously scan for and interpret signals of societal change? What sources, communities, or learning experiences will help you develop more nuanced perspectives? How will you identify early warning signs of both challenges and opportunities? Spectrum layer analysis, depth and context. How will you move beyond surface-level understanding to engage with deeper layers of social transformation? Which layers are you best positioned to influence? How will you connect your specific focus to broader systemic change? Spectrum scenarios, adaptation and strategy. How will you prepare for multiple possible futures rather than betting on a single outcome? What actions make sense across different scenarios? How will you create options that allow you to pivot as conditions evolve? For each dimension, identify 2 to 3 specific commitments, concrete actions you'll take to engage with these societal transformations. Take about 20 minutes for this exercise. The goal is to develop a balanced engagement strategy that connects your unique capacities to broader collective needs while remaining adaptable to multiple possible futures. Exercise 9. Addressing barriers and sustaining engagement. Engaging with complex societal transformations is challenging work. Take time to proactively address potential barriers and sustainability issues. Personal barriers. What might prevent you from following through on your commitments? How will you address these barriers? Resource needs. What resources, time, skills, relationships, information do you need to engage effectively? How will you acquire or develop these? Resilience strategies. How will you sustain your engagement when progress is slow or setbacks occur? What practices will help you maintain energy and perspective? Learning approach. How will you learn and adapt your engagement as conditions change? What feedback mechanisms will help you refine your approach? Take about 15 minutes for this reflection. The goal is to develop strategies that will help you sustain meaningful engagement over time, even amid complexity and challenge. Part 5. Collective action and movement building. For our final section, let's explore how individual engagement can connect to and support broader collective action. Societal transformation requires both individual and coordinated efforts. Exercise 10. Identifying collective leverage points. Based on everything you've explored so far, identify 3 to 5 leverage points. Places in the social system where relatively small actions might produce significant positive change. These might include emerging policies or regulations that could be shaped, new narratives or framings that could shift public understanding, innovative models or prototypes that could be scaled, bridge-building opportunities between divided groups, education or awareness initiatives at critical moments. For each leverage point, note why this represents a significant opportunity for positive influence. Who is already working on this? Individuals, organizations, movements. What collective action might amplify impact at this point? How your personal engagement strategy connects to this leverage point. Take about 15 minutes for this exercise. The goal is to identify where collective efforts might be most effective in shaping positive adaptation. Exercise 11. From individual to collective engagement. Now, consider how your personal engagement strategy might evolve to include more collective action over time. Connection pathways. How might you connect your individual efforts to broader movements or initiatives? What existing networks or platforms could amplify your impact? Scaling strategy. How might successful approaches be shared, replicated, or adapted by others? What would help good ideas and practices spread? Coalition possibilities. What unlikely allies or cross-sector collaborations might create new possibilities? How could diverse perspectives and resources be combined? Narrative contribution. What stories or perspectives do you think need greater visibility? How might you help amplify important voices or reframe important issues? Take about 15 minutes for this reflection. The goal is to see your individual engagement as part of a broader ecosystem of change efforts, with possibilities for growing collective impact. Completing the workshop, integration, and commitment. As we bring this workshop to a close, let's ensure that your insights and plans become integrated into your ongoing engagement with societal transformation. Exercise 12, Integration and Commitment. Complete these reflection statements to consolidate your learning and commitments. The most important insight I've gained about societal transformations is, I believe my most valuable contribution to positive adaptation will be. The first step I will take in my engagement strategy is, I want to learn more about. I will sustain my engagement by. I will know my engagement is making a difference when. Take about 10 minutes to complete these reflections. The goal is to distill your key insights and commitments into clear, memorable statements that will guide your ongoing engagement. Final reflections and next steps. Congratulations on completing this third and final SuperShift integration workshop. You've now explored the implications of these transformative shifts at personal, organizational, and societal levels, giving you a comprehensive understanding of how these forces are reshaping our world at multiple scales. As you continue your engagement with societal transformation, remember these important principles. Balance awareness with action. Deep understanding of complex shifts is valuable, but must be paired with practical engagement, even if initially small scale. Connect personal, organizational, and societal perspectives. Your most effective contributions will likely come where these dimensions align and reinforce each other. Embrace both immediate and long-term timeframes. Some actions can create immediate positive impact, while others plant seeds for longer-term transformation. Cultivate hope with clear-eyed realism. Effective engagement requires both honest assessment of challenges and genuine openness to positive possibilities. Prioritize learning and adaptation. As these shifts continue to evolve in unexpected ways, your capacity to learn and adjust your approach is essential. I encourage you to revisit these workshop materials periodically as conditions change and your engagement evolves. The frameworks and exercises can help you refine your understanding and approach as super shifts continue to transform our world. In our next episode, we'll help you assess your overall future readiness, integrating insights from all three workshops to evaluate how prepared you are to navigate transformation across personal, organizational, and societal dimensions. Until then, continue developing your engagement strategies, connecting with others working toward positive futures, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.